You are watching Travel World Online.
Namaskar, good afternoon, and welcome. Today, in our program Face to Face, we have Mr. Jurgen Bailom. He's the CEO of Jalesh Cruises. Welcome, Mr. Jurgen. This is a tough time for the world, but now we can see a silver lining in the clouds. We want to know how was this lockdown period for you?
Very devastating, not only for the travel trade, I think for any economy or any business, because there's so many businesses which are linked and impacted by it. You can call the airline industry a travel industry, but there's also a necessity involved. Supply chain has been interrupted, school systems have been interrupted, education, every life has been impacted with these new circumstances. Especially here in India, I see that we were impacted, but I also see an opportunity. And if you allow me, I would like to give you an example. When September 11 happened in America, what was the result of September 11 it was very devastating, and we all thought the world is going to change. But the positive out of was flying become much safer. In the beginning, it was a hassle. It was a hassle to get through the airport, all the security checks. But if you take the positive survey, flying have become much safer. And I see the same will happen with this pandemic. It will be a matter of time until we find the solution to live a normal life again, if you want. And in the meantime, to make sure we keep going and get ourselves back on the feet, we all have to take some certain measurements and get prepared until obviously the long-term solution will be a vaccination for it. But I think the end result will be we will be a cleaner place. People are far more aware of looking after themselves and mingling and hugging and kissing. And I think India is going to do extremely well, because everywhere else in the world it's a high five, and we already have everything in place. So in that sense, we are in a good place.
And finally, a good news, you are going to sail in November. It's not just for the cruise industry, but for the whole travel trade. This is a good news. Are you ready for this?
I'm actually very excited. I've been working very closely with the government and all the port authorities. We have put some great measurements in place, but I also have to tell you, it's very natural to cruise industry to do that, because we have been almost operating in the same standard the last 20 years. We use hand sanitizer on the ships since 20 years. So to us, it was a little bit, while we got maybe a little bit a bad rap of what happened with one of our competitors or our colleagues to their cruise business. I think if you take a holistic view, the impact was very small in one sense. Unfortunately, with the rules and regulation, because nobody have ever experienced that what really takes so long. I'm not so concerned about from the operation side, because we always have been a very clean environment. We have our own hospitals. We have very high compliant and high public health standards on ship. All ships in the world get inspected at least twice a year by public health inspectors. So I take it as a restart, a positive restart. And especially in our case, I see we're going to be able to provide a awareness, healthy fitness lifestyle vacation or short break in their own country, so they don't have to fly abroad. They know what they're getting. It's home away and home. And India is beautiful. Why not? India and the greatest coastline in the world. It's going to be awesome.
So, Bailom, that's a fear factor. So what are you doing to build that confidence? And once you start, do you have got some emergency plan? If yes, what's that?
We decided as a group, the pre-cruise, first of all, we are very transparent. All our crew on board always has been and will be. They're all certified. They're all medically certified before they're even allowed to join the ship. Way pre-COVID-19. So every employee on board the ship when they come on board, they first have to be COVID tested 24 hours before boarding. Once they are COVID tested and negative, they're allowed to join the vessel. From an embarkation, from a guest point of view, we try to capture as much as information, because we also want to help the government and the state government in case there will be a positive case, not to red flag a guest, but we want to make sure we can help them. They might not even be aware that they are positive. So we thought for us as a good initiative would be, which we're working on very heavily with BHO, is do an absolute testing on day of embarkation. We found a company which will be able to provide us with COVID and flu-related symptoms testing, which gives you a result within 15 minutes. So what else we are doing is we have a staggered embarkation. So we can embark them by premier cabins or regular cabins. We can embark them by deck or floor if you want. And we can stagger it throughout the day. So after the exiting guests are safely out, the entire ship will be sanitized. The entire arrival debarkation area on the terminal will be sanitized. And we'll make sure that the proper personnel is there to guide the guests through the steps and procedures, so they feel safe all the way and confident going and taking a break and going on a well-deserved relief, if you want, after this lengthy 6 months ordeal we had so far.
What you have to offer in this new normal situation? And will you be able to maintain social distancing as per the government guidelines?
And on top of it, don't forget, we are the largest hotel in the country on top of it. So we can host beautiful weddings because the setup of the ship and what we created, and I'm sharing with you a secret, please don't tell everybody.
Surely.
We created something on board which we call neighborhoods. So what we're allowing to do is, we don't think cruising has to change from an experience side. You should be able to still experience what a beautiful cruise has to offer. So what we decided to do is we take a certain amount of guests through all the areas of the ship, so we overcome the areas of being overcrowded. So before we used to have 1 or 2 shows in the evening. Now we show the shows throughout the entire day, multiple times. So people feel comfortable to go in a beautiful theater without being crammed. Obviously the atmosphere is completely different when you have 1,000 people sitting in there and cheering and dancing. So we do that in a way that the atmosphere remains the same, but in a smaller amount of guests. And so they can feel really comfortable, and they will not realize that on such a big ship, that social distancing is actually very easy to manage. We have 24 hours food service. We have 14 different outlets. We have so many bars. So throughout announcement, guiding, creating activities, we'll guide them through the entire experience on board, if you want, to make sure they can experience everything throughout their cruise without having to feel unsafe, crowded, or not being able to feel social distance. So we will be able to manage it really well, actually.
So please let us know where you will be sailing on the first voyage post-COVID.
What we're doing is, because obviously it's not just us, right? We also have various areas which have to work closely with us. We have supply chain which have to bring all the food. So we need to make sure that is processed properly, it's brought properly to the ship. Everything has to be sanitized, everything has to be stored properly. All the people which come to the ship, they can't come on the ship. They have to be tested to make sure they have the access to deliver all the supplies to the ship, right? Then we also have to make sure that the port and the port operation is working accordingly. So what we're doing basically is we're saying, let's do the first 4 or 5 sailings. We take the ship to high sea. We make the ship the destination, so they don't have to worry about getting off, jumping into a taxi, getting sick on the way back, because we believe we have a lot to offer. Actually, if you go on a 2-day cruise to experience our ship, you would have to stay 7 days to experience everything. So we believe that the first 4, 5, 6 times we are taking it as a, if you want, like a training concept, but not for the guest. The guest experience will be great, but for all the various departments, sport, public health sport, check-in operation, all to get into a certain move and groove to make sure we're doing it all properly. And then from after 5-6 sailings, we're starting going again to other destinations which we have on our schedule.
Great. So what are your future plans?
Proud. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
pointing this out. We are very proud. We are very proud Indian company, if you want. We're really supporting Incredible India and Taste of India in our Home Away from Home project.
Right.
And what we're doing is obviously we took the time to work on our existing setup. So we created a brand new website. We created a brand new reservation system. And we have partnered with a lot of people in the travel trade. So we are communicating with everyone. We have made great arrangements with the big OTAs, all of them, if you want. They're all involved. I would say today I can say we are connected to about 140,000 travel agents, and we don't want to stop. We want everybody to be able to experience or profit from Jalesh cruises being in India. Our main goal is still to create about 2 million jobs, and we also want to be accessible and available for anybody who feel we are a great product for them to sell us and make some money on that. Obviously, we're working on Lakshadweep become one of our destination. Obviously, Goa. And we're not going to leave India, so we're going to remain in India. We're going to start sailing out from Chennai.
Yeah.
And we also have all the other ports on our radar. And then obviously, as any other company, I know people think, how can you? But the best defense to something like we experience right now is sometimes attack. And in our attack model is we have to grow and we have to get a second ship.
Right.
And this plan has not been changed. I cannot tell you when it's coming, but we're very close.
Thank you. Any message for our viewers?
Get out there, stay safe. There are an important role we have to play. We have to make sure we get India back on their feet. We need to make sure we support our own domestic products. We have to make sure that we buy our own domestic products. It is time for solidarity and being proud to be in India, and we need to support India as Indians.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm not Indian yet, but who knows? But I'm very proud to be here, and I think it's very important for all of us to support, to get back on our feet and make sure that we are getting back to as much normal as possible. And I think we all have to, any business has to take its own ownership. There's no need for the government to tell us you can do and you should do. Obviously, always in the new guidelines, but I think it's everyone else's responsibility to make sure that we get back on our feet and make sure that we can make a beautiful product for our Indians here in India.
Thank you very much for an insight.
You are watching Travel World Online.